safety. So I would like to welcome all of them. So first, I would like to introduce Ms. Gupta Sinha Madam, IAS, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Government of Rajasthan. Mr. Albert John, who will be joining, IPS, Deputy Superintendent of Police, Vellore City, Tamil Nadu. Mr. Soumyaraman Srivastav, he got stuck for some kind of emergency. I don't think he will be able to join. But we have Dr. Mahendra Limai, eminent cyber lawyer and actively engaged in cyber awareness. Mr. Tushar Bhagat, founder of Safecom, Internet, E-commerce and Safety Foundation. That's our panelists today. That's it. We have these people with us today. So I would like to welcome all of them again. Before we start, we should, state that what is the importance and why we are doing this seminar, why we are doing this webinar. Is it just an activity, just a regular activity for us, or it is something more than that? And we have along with us the KARN, the founder of KARN Robotics, who is also a techie and who is working in this field for a very long time on cyber safety, data security, and he has developed some spectacular products. He will describe that later on in the discussion. So let's start with some facts. I am reading out some facts to you. Over 59% of Indian adults fell victim to the growing number of cyber crimes in India in last year, that is in 2020. And according to the report, 27 million Indian adults were victims of identity theft in the past 12 months, and 52% of adults in the country do not know how to protect themselves from cyber crime. So these are some of the very startling facts. So I believe to combat this crime, we have to join hands, not only the public sector, public, private, both of them, and we have to join hands. The experts should come together on a particular forum, which will not only create awareness, but will enhance the skills also. So that is the reason, that is one of the primary reasons why we are organizing this seminar. So I would like to first start with Madam Mukta Sinha with her introductory speech, whatever his visions are about this, and then we will continue with the question and answer session. Please, ma'am.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you very much. I hope I am audible to everyone. So I will talk mostly about the role that the public policy architects have in this whole discussion on cybersecurity. As I understand, as a civil servant, my job is to come up with policies that ensure that clients and consumers and citizens and the private sector and the public sector are fully protected. At least everybody has a level playing field against offense, right? And that we have solid systems in place, because the work of the police comes only after a crime, say in this case a cyber crime has been committed. So what can we do in terms of policy making for prevention is what I'd like to focus on. So first, let us understand what is happening in this age of internet. And as Pentagon says that the age of internet or cyber space is the fifth domain in terms of national security after land, air, sea, and space. But the best part about being in the cyberspace is that once a weapon has been used, in this case, it could be umpteen phishing, spamming, breaking the firewalls. It could be anything, some malware which has been used or something else, or different ways of doing it. Say a Jamtara kind of a experiment of duping citizens, customers, and consumers, or anybody for that matter alike. So the beauty of being in cyberspace, unlike the other domains, is that once the weapon has been used and it has been detected, you can take, measures. But the idea is not to become active after something has happened. So the idea basically is, how do we prevent the offense? How do we make our system so foolproof that we are able to avert this defense? Because as somebody has said that, when data leakage happens, it happens in many countries, and I won't want to name those countries, but I'm saying the movement of data, which is actually somebody's intellectual property rights, because whatever we value in this world, be it our stocks, be it music, be it intellectual property rights, be it our personal identity, be it our health records, be it our biometrics, be it our Aadhaar card, everything today is available either on the cloud or has been deposited to some institution, either private or public, with this full understanding that it will not be used at the back end. But we as citizens and customers and consumers are not aware of what is happening, because the moment you go to a mall and somebody asks you for a mobile number or an email, the very next nanosecond you start receiving something on your email from unknown numbers or unknown messages or emails from unknown numbers. So that basically means that this data is today the new oil, and which is being exploited by people. Maybe it is being sold out, and we do have newspaper reports every now and then. The data has leaked from various organizations. Recently, I heard from an air flight company whose customer client I have been for many, many years, and they told me that this is what you need to do to protect, because I had a card of that flight company. So coming back to the point, what is most important? There are 3 or 4 questions which I'd like to posit here, because in making policies, this is what, and when I say this because national security is as much important for the private sector as it is, of course, definitely for the public, which is the government. What happens if a data leak happens, right? The idea is this is a catch-22 kind of a situation where we are posited against, people doing an offense, some people who want to, exploit the loophole in the system, the stealers, if I can say that, the cyber crime, people who are committing cyber crime, who are on the offensive, especially because everybody else is too busy doing everything else, and that is basically their job, to hack into the systems. And the people on the defense side, which are usually the private or the public companies and the government. So the first thing that happens is, whose responsibility is it? What happens if a data leakage happens, say, for example, in a computer company? Vis-a-vis, what happens if if the same data leaks from, say, a government department? How does the public perception differ? Will the public perception be the same in this case? And whose responsibility is it? One, in terms of plugging the loophole, because the data doesn't belong to just the company, it probably belongs to the citizens, who might have been, as a small set, clients or consumers of the system, right? Example, just to give you an example, today our IT database is being managed by an X company. Suppose something happens at the company end, because they are the ones who are making the software, the algorithms, the back end. The company loses because, of course, the goodwill, maybe the contract as well. But what happens to the larger universal set of the income tax payees? Their data is out into the open, right? And each one has to then, are we then required to, as individual income tax payees, to look after our data, to protect our data? Or is something going to happen at a larger end? That is one question. So with that question also comes not just the responsibility and the roles ensuing, but also who takes the responsibility of the cost. And there are 2 kinds of cost here. One, of course, is the cost of rectifying the system, learning from what has happened, learning from a failure or from an attack, and then rebuilding the system, making the system more resilient, or as I would say in Nasib Talib's vocabulary, making it anti-fragile. Who pays for it? In this case, who will pay for it? Will Wipro invest in making the system, for example, just giving an example, will an IT company invest in making a system more foolproof if it is on a contract to a government agency? Or will the government agency have to shell out more to ensure that the IT people are able to make the system more foolproof? So on whom will the onus lie of spending that money? Because ultimately the onus will fall on the customer, I feel, right? Also, in case there is a data leak that happens, we don't have tort in India, but if that happens, who will compensate the consumer or the citizen who's lost on data? Because each individual person cannot then go in and lodge FIR and say that my data has been leaked. What will be the consequences in terms of cost of compensation in case misuse of data has happened, till such time we are able to rectify? That is something we have to understand. So having said this, I think it has to be the joint responsibility of both the service provider and the government, because right now we are talking of a system in which the data leak has happened in the country. What if our intellectual property or some important data was to leak across the borders. It could lead to a issue of national security, and the leakage could just have come from one company, but it could impinge on the nation's security. Who will bear the cost of fortification or rectification in that case? That is something that we have to understand. I'm also positing all these questions because that is how you will start writing the policy, keeping these things in mind. So if we also go back a little into the history of how internet and how everything has moved from the physical space to the cyberspace, in the 1980s, by which time actually internet came into being, you had something called the age of asset management, where we were still trying to identify, the threats to cyber, threats to, internet, which weren't very many because everybody was at the same, stage in time trying to understand how internet was. Then you came to the 1990s and you realized that you started looking at identifying and protecting maybe. So you moved a step further from identification to protection of regimes. So you moved from asset management to protection, to beyond identifying to protection. And the third stage came in the 2000, after the famous 2K thing happened, when you were actually trying to respond, and figure out what is happening. So today we have moved from identification to protection to firewalls to virus systems, and now we are posited on the next stage of, having done all that, having seen all that, having come a long distance from what we were in the 90s, 80s, and today is the time to respond in terms of how do we want to make policy. And the one word that is very, very important, because we are also talking not just of internet, we are also talking of blockchains today. We spoke of inclusion, right? Of people who are not bankable, but this is anonymity with inclusion, which has happened in blockchain, right? Today you have not just cloud, which is again owned by companies, but you have something like Golem, which is an anonymous kind of no ownership. It's something like the Ubers and Olas or the Amazons you have without any proprietorship. There is a cloud which anybody can access with full anonymity, right? So how do you deal with people? See, the police has always been trained to deal with criminals who have a face or who have a name. In the world of blockchains and NFTs and Ethereums and stuff like that, how do you deal with people who are anonymous? What kind of footprints do they leave for you to trace and track? So I think we have also moved from looking at hardwares, corruption of hardwares, hacking, spamming, phishing, whatever jargon that you have. But we are also moving to something called investing in building very, very strong backends and algorithms, right? So we have to move from an understanding of protection at the level of the hardware, move to the level and invest initially. And, it is almost like R&D, if you look at the cost of R&D, for example, anywhere, that is the nominal cost that people invest. So they kind of believe in the Archimedes principle and think, if you don't invest much in R&D, you will still be able to come up with innovation. That's not going to happen. It will not work in the field of cyberspace. You have to invest in the top-notch professional people who can write those algorithms which are foolproof. And you have to have, and this is something I say in my personal capacity because this is what I believe in, might not be the official word on it, but you also need to invest and understand the hackers. One of the stakeholders in trying to build a resilient system has to be your hackers, because what hackers can do, some of us who don't have that understanding will not be able to anticipate. So I think you have to work very closely. And I think the National Institute of Standards and Technology in the US actually worked with hackers on a small kind of a term project to figure out how they were breaking the system. And then based on that experiment, they were able to build policies which looked at how, if something happened, how those loopholes or patches, so to say, as you say in your professional language, were to be used. In fact, patches have been used to do a lot of espionage by a lot of countries against a lot of countries. As we know, we also know of well, I don't think I will need to mention them. But the important point here is how do we invest in our defense and not offense? Because that is the counterbalance which is going to actually help us win this war against cyber criminals. The other, I've talked of hardware, I've talked of software, I've talked of costs involved, I've talked of need for collaboration, I've also talked of why it is important for national security. And the last point that I like to make is I like to keep it short and end here, and then probably I can take on questions and answers. Also, what is happening is that, at very individual levels, what we need to do is we need to train both the private sector, the government officials working in the public sector, who are probably repository of most of this data, because people still feel very comfortable sharing data in the government sector than they do in the private sector. Private sector, it is mostly by duress, because it happens is that if you don't give us this card, then probably we can't give you an appointment with the doctor. It doesn't happen in the government, because government, with or without anything, you are still, if you are the man standing in the line, you still need to be seen and something can be worked out for you. But what is required is that we are operating today both as citizens and consumers, right? And there is this whole regime of the Consumer Protection Act. And one of the most important things that needs to be built across policies in countries, in states, is that whatever new thing that you're trying to defend, of which we can be at the receiving end in terms of victims, because that is, I think, what Srinjoy also mentioned earlier, all citizens should be given training to understand what this system means, because we are all operating hardware, we are all operating software without a full and deep understanding of protections required or things that we as individuals need to do to protect ourselves. I think there should be FAQs written. There should be, things, because there is a whole range of people, right from children to the geriatric population. We need to educate all of them. There's also this whole concept of people who are educated and people who are illiterate, people who are technologically challenged. So I think keeping all these things in mind, we have to see. Also, what is involved in this whole concept is the concept of ownership. Who owns our data? When policies are being written, it should be very clear, because when we talk of the compensation regime, when we talk of the regime of protection, then a person can be killed if the person's identity is taken away. You don't only kill a person by shooting a person today, you also kill a person and make that person anonymous or make that person disappear by snatching away the person's identity in cyberspace. You just make him anonymous. He does not exist in the 1.3 billion people that exist in India. So how do you protect him? We will be talking of how a man does not return from dust unto dust, but also returns from dust unto digital dust, where you are finished in cyberspace. You don't exist anymore. Somebody takes over your Facebook connection and impersonates you. You are gone. You are no more in charge of your identity anymore, right? So who owns data? With whom should the privacy vest? Who should be the ultimate repository of ownership? Who should have the right, and in what process to change that? Who should have the right of visibility? And that is why blockchain is here, because everybody now prefers that ownership should be anonymous. The person who is doing the transaction should be anonymous, but then there are undersides to anonymity also. So do we have answers to these questions? Because unless we debate and brainstorm and look at the various legal regimes and also practical things which are happening, I don't think we'll be able to come up with a policy foolproof enough, because unless we are able to put the perspective in place, and policy is only a reflection of the perspective in place. If we can do that, I think only then we will be able to prevent to a large extent, by investing in policy making, by investing in seminars like this, that we will be actually helping the police. Because I see there's an IPS officer here who will be talking of what happens after the crime has been committed in cyberspace, what are the steps. But I am talking more from the perspective of prevention rather than post-prevention protection. So this is what I have to say as of now, and I'm happy to learn from all of you here. I'm happy for suggestions and want to listen to what the private sector has to say. Good luck.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Wonderful listening to you. I have a small question to you, man. As we spoke about different precautions that we need to take, to combat this problem. But still, if I talk about the realities, if we talk about the software market, it is highly dependent on foreign investment. Even the foreign players, they are dominating the software market. If you talk about the hardware market, then it is dominated or flooded by Chinese products. And yet, at the same time, we are also talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is a very appreciated, it's a wonderful initiative by the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister. So, how do you think we can really build up a system where we can, depend on the homegrown products, and we can people at the same time the government also need to initiate things so that the domestic companies can also build their own products and they can really penetrate in the market. Do you think it is important?
Yes. So, but as you say, it is very, very important to have your own, because your own systems in place, because then you are doing two things. One is you are also educating your manufacturing companies of what is important. But in this cyberspace, which is the fifth domain, which is what you say, a very ubiquitous kind of a thing. It's a borderless kind of a regime. So it really doesn't matter where the products are made, unless somebody is working to ensure, working to collect data from. See, please also remember that India and China, with their largest demographic profile that we have, will always remain a source of attraction for companies who would like to sell their products and processes in India. For the citizens, what I can say is, whatever product you use, please ensure that you read the manual. See, what we need to do from the consumer's point of view, from the citizen's point of view, is the government should emphasize that the various kind of protocols which we have to agree to when our softwares get upgraded, right? Because there is no interoperability right now. See, if I have accounts in two banks, for example, right? I the systems that are there have to share API for a citizen to become comfortable to be able to use net banking from both banks without having to cross over from one kind of a system to the other. So the kind of systematization which is required, that's very, very important. See, when the citizen interacts with the government department across states, there's an issue of language. There's an issue of filling up forms which have different columns. So standardization, that is very, very important. The HDFT bank form for opening a saving bank account and a SBI, process for opening are two very different things. See, Supreme Court has clearly laid down that you have to now have what you call a 16-digit magical Aadhaar card, in which your Aadhaar card numbers are not displayed. But unfortunately, most banks ask you for a self-attested photocopy, and they don't accept the smart card, which only has the last 4 digits. So that is where we have to invest, right? Invest in ensuring that things remain, while they remain transparent, they remain accountable at the same time, remain private at the same time. Because a lot of our Aadhaars which we send are being used to purchase, as I read in the newspapers, SIMs by unwarranted people. And there is a system whether you have to go into the system and check whether why should the onus of checking all these things lie on an individual citizen? The system should take care of it, right? So I think I want to build a system which is definitely made in India, which can actually throw a beacon light to everywhere else, where we ensure non-ownership, transparency, privacy of our own data. Because also remember, we will always remain attractive, because 1.3 billion people with highest number of diabetics. So anybody who's working on an Apple Watch will definitely be looking at that kind of a database, because that's how you do your maths. So I think Made in India has to come by educating your citizens, educating everybody who's involved in the system everywhere. So if we want to protect our country, because ultimately if we don't invest in the unit, then our national security is stake, because any one unit goes conk, then that one individual can be a chink which can bring the entire thing down. So that is my humble plea. Please invest in people, because when you invest in people, as Yuval Noah Harari also says, there is a tyranny of technology. People will get tired of upgrading to new technologies. So you have to keep that also in mind, by the way. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, man. Thanks for the answer. I would like to bring in Karn out here because he has been working in this field for a very long time and he has developed some of the spectacular products which will soon hit the market. So, what as an entrepreneur, what are the challenges do you think you faced while developing this product, and why do you think people in India still don't accept India-made products? They have some kind of taboo which restricts them to use. They prefer foreign products, mainly in the software field or mainly in the IT or the tech world. Where is the problem?
First of all, I would say like thank you so much for joining us, and all the people, those who have came here for as a guest member as well. And I've seen like Mrs. Mugda, what she said is like it's quite a really nice thing that I've heard about that. Um, the way she was trying to talk about the policy and the way people has to care about the data privacy, people doesn't understand that much, and that's the real reason behind like why we are so behind with everything in terms of like if we compare with other countries, what I'm saying. But if as she said already about the kind of technology we need, and people has to be invest in some kind of people, those who are really wants to create some kind of environment, or you can say like a ecosystem that can change the perspective. So if I start replying her queries the way she was talking about, I was really stunned listening to her technically if I talk about, because I was not believing that she doesn't have that kind of technical background, but what she said is really appreciable, and I really grateful for that. So first of all, I would say like our Pradhan Mantri create our own Atmanirbhar system, what I'm saying? So it's like Atmanirbhar system I created quite a long ago. And the only thing was now for me is like how we can make sure that people can understand about all the aspects what we are offering today. And people was no understanding in the beginning because like we was not aware. People was not aware about the difference, like how they are giving up everything, connecting with the country, product line that is built from somewhere else. And even you can see today what they are doing is like every single time when you are using some kind of product line, they are giving up loads of data. I mean, say loads of data means like every single time when you're using any sort of search engine or maybe any messenger or maybe any sort of, they have to give a lot of data in there. And once you are start giving up, that means like you're done because you already given up your all the things there, and your something is already saved into a certain kind of folder that might gonna be used sometime. You got a point. So मैं आप लोगों से ये सजेस्ट करूंगा कि सबसे पहले आपको ये बात समझनी पड़ेगी what we are offering and why we are offering. So I'm trying to say, and what's the reason behind why we are offering. So I'm trying to say, because every single time when we are talking about data privacy or data policy, they just talk. They don't think that way. Because first of all, I mean, I'm so confused. Like after listening quite a long time, I mean, for last 3-4 events that we did, and every single people have those problems. Like how are we gonna do it? We don't have that policy. We don't have that law. But technically, we are now working on the kind of product line that can protect those things. That's what I'm trying to say. And for that reason, is like I started working on my product line for a long time. And that took me quite a long time to even come to the market, because I was thinking like if I'm gonna come with the one product line, अगर मैं एक product के साथ आता हूँ, so it might gonna not feel, or I might not gonna say to someone like मैं आपका privacy maintain, so I'm trying to say, or I'm trying to protect your privacy, because that is a lie. 100% lie when someone is saying like I'm giving you a product and someone is trying to protect your privacy. So I'm trying to say. So on that point of time, every single time when someone is saying, because there's lots of companies running right now and there's lots of startup in India, you might already seen that. But हमारा जो perspective है वो इतना कहता है कि अगर आप हमारे को यूज करते हो तो हम आपका हर एक जो कम्युनिकेशन से रिलेटेड है, सर्चिंग से रिलेटेड है, ब्राउजिंग से रिलेटेड है, इन सब प्रॉब्लम्स को एक साथ कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं. उसका कारण ये है, today what we have is like we are not offering that kind of services that we wanted to, because we don't have that facility available, because people are not supporting us, and once people are not supporting, because they don't even understand, they don't even care about, what I'm saying? If they're not going to care, how will we, how I'm going to do something? That's what I'm trying to say. So for this conference, maybe someone around the globe or maybe in India और हमारे जितने भी लोग हैं आसपास के पूरे इंडिया में as she said 1.3 billion people around India, they might gonna listen to us and they're gonna understand like how important is it what we are offering to it. Gonna start understanding because मेरा पर्सपेक्टिव सिर्फ यहाँ पे पैसे कमाने का नहीं है. You know what I'm trying to say? I want to build most powerful country of the world right now. You know what I'm trying to say? And if I'm saying that only happen if few of the people in India they can understand like what we can do and how we can do. You know what I'm trying to say? So I mean, yeah, these are my main core things that I wanted to point out. Technically, if I talk about, if I say about like, मैं एक छोटे से गांव से आता हूँ, you know, what I'm trying to say, and being a small village guy, it took me quite a long time to even come to that place where I can sit with you guys and discuss about those kind of problems that we are facing today. You know what I'm trying to say. So first of all, we need to acknowledge everyone. You know what I'm saying. So सबसे पहले तो आपको ये समझना पड़ेगा कि हम एक दूसरे का जब तक साथ नहीं देंगे, how will we make this thing go bigger? So that's what I'm trying to say. तो इन सवाल के जवाब को लाने के लिए ही ये कॉन्फ्रेंस है. You know what I'm trying to say. And that maybe this series can help us people to understand like what we can, you know, what we are trying to deal with here. That can change the perspective of whole ecosystem. That's what I'm trying to say. And if the ecosystem is having the same kind of privacy and data that we are trying to save here, that might gonna change the perspective of other countries, how they are using our own data in terms of their own advantages. Maybe it's for the profitability, or maybe it's for their own advantages in terms of like how we can do the experiments and all. And as she said, like people are not investing in R&D stuff, but we do care about R&D a lot. And why I care about R&D? Because without R&D, we can't do anything, because we have no idea like what we are offering that is going to be important or not. That's what I'm trying to say. So that is quite important, and I do believe like it's important scenario that we have to deal with right now, technically. So yeah.
Thank you, Khan. Thanks for sharing your vision. So I would like to call our next panelist, Mr. Albert John is there, I think. Sir, are you there? Mr. Albert? Mr. Albert John is there?
No, I think he's not here, maybe.
Oh, okay, fine. I think he'll join in the later half. So let's start our discussion, to continue our discussion. I'll call upon eminent cyber lawyer, Dr. Mahendra Limay. Sir, if you can, share your vision and let us know what you think about this entire issue.
First, thank you for this wonderful event. What Madam Sinha has said, that is regarding data privacy or other things. Let me first make one point clear, that India is debating data privacy bill since 2017. We are at the fag end of 2021, and still the data privacy or data protection bill has not seen a light of a day. So when we speak about the Indian market or indigenous products, etc., we must know, when 130 countries in the world are having data privacy or data protection act, why India should not have data protection act. Since last 4 years it is being debated. So all the persons who are attending this particular call must have this particular, say, churning, why data privacy is not considered as the important aspect as far as cyber security is concerned. Because as Mr. Khan has put up, that everybody is looking after or running after individuals' data. Even Madam Mugdha Madam has said that everything is happening for capturing data. So when it is open secret that all the companies are running behind data, why there should not be any data privacy or data protection law in India? Another thing which as a lawyer I must tell you, that presently there is a provision under section 43A of Information Technology Act to protect individuals' data. So it gives responsibility, except government department, to protect the sensitive confidential information or sensitive personal information of anybody which that particular organization is handling, protecting or processing. So it is not the case that data protection is not available in India. It is available in different sort or different kind that is covered under Information Technology Act. But once Data Protection Act will be there, whatever issues are debated, like who owns the responsibility of protecting the data, even this Data Protection Act will give every citizens right to be forgotten, right of erasure, right to modification of that particular data. So lot many rights will be controlled by citizen once this Data Protection Act is in place. But as far as the bigger issue is concerned, is related to cyber awareness, because we as a country of 1.3 billion and say almost 60 to 70% people are mandated or are compulsion to use digital equipments, digital gadgets. Who has taken the responsibility of creating awareness or making these people aware about how digital transactions are going on? If you just go by recent NCRB report, which is recently published, India has reported only say around 50,000 cyber crimes in year 2020. I don't think anybody in this particular call will even believe that India has reported only 50,000 cyber crimes in year 2020. But these are the statistics of Indian Premier Institute, that is NCRB. So if these are the say projections which are given by premier Indian investigating agencies, what could be the rate of investigation by the police? And police are hiding behind the jurisdictional issues, because the view of complainants who try to register cybercrime are tremendous. Most of the people might be aware that even if you want to register a small complaint regarding any cybercrime happening against you, there will be immense problem for the complainant to register that particular FIR. So we must understand the procedure for registration of FIR must be made simplified. If people want to register offense, there can be solutions from government end, that we have created a portal, that is cybercrime.gov.in. If you want to believe report on cybercrime.gov.in, that particular portal itself says it has received not less than 2.5 lakhs complaint in last year. Our NCRB says only 50,000 FIR have been registered. So if this is the discrepancy of government agencies, what will happen to complainant? So my humble submission to this particular August panel is that we should not be casual about understanding the subject of cyber crimes. It is causing immense damage to every individual, and particularly those individuals who are not aware what damage is being inflicted on them. Every app is collecting immense information about every individual and what that app is going to do with that particular information. Obviously that app is going to sell that particular information to the people who wanted to twist or manipulate that particular information for their own use. So unless people are made aware that what apps are collecting what information they should share, what information they should not share. But this is genuinely a catch 22 situation, because on one hand people are mandated to remain digitally present in each and every walk of life, and the apps which are available to make their digital presence, every app is fetching immense information from every individual. So this is really a pathetic situation where on one side we are promoting digital India, every activity there has to be digitalization, and on other side there is no one to make promotion of awareness or safety of the people. Even I can ask a small question. Even RBI is coming heavily with its advertising budget on whatever is promoted as समझदार बनो. That is the advertisement promoted. आपके साथ थोड़ा भी नुकसान हो गया तो immediately आपके बैंक को रिपोर्ट करो. There has to be statistics published by RBI. How many victims have received the money after reporting this particular matter under their zero liability circular? I definitely want to challenge because I know people don't get money even after reporting the matter within 3 days, within 5 minutes, within 10 minutes, because our systems are not that much strong enough for recalling of money or whatever is promoted to them. So rather going very harsh on what is happening in cyberspace, I will reserve my few harsh comments for whatever questions which may be directed to me. So with these limited words, I will stop here and let the discussion continue.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks for your vision. Sir, I have a small question. So, as a lawyer, as we all know, that the entire judiciary is already overburdened with cases. So, cybercrime is a very new crime trend which we are seeing in India. So, do you think the judiciary and even the people who are in the fraternity, in your fraternity, they're equipped enough? They have the kind of skills and the sensitivity or the awareness to deal with this kind of issues?
To answer your question very bluntly, the answer is hidden in itself. The judiciary is not at all capable of handling the complaints which are received or reported to them. If you even go by NCRB statistics itself and just see the judicial ratio, I am really means ashamed to state that there is ratio of only say not more than 10% matters being taken up by judiciary. Normally what happens when you report the complaint or when FIR is registered, it takes normally 2 to 3 years in case of cybercrime to file charge sheet in court, which normally should happen within 6 months. So 3 years, 2 years is the standard time for filing charge sheet. And when it comes to court, it takes a long period of say 4 to 5 years when the trial begins, and when once trial begins it takes another 3 to 4 years. So forget about the judicial system. When you come to civil judiciary where IT secretaries are designated as say judges or adjudicating officers, very few IT secretaries across India are taking up matters which are filed before them. I can tell you with whatever knowledge I have, since I come from Maharashtra, Maharashtra IT Secretary is currently handling matters which are filed in the year 2015. We are in 2021. Just there was Rajasthan IT somebody. Rajasthan IT Secretary has recently gave one particular decision which was filed before them in year 2015. So if 6 years are required for the decision making process, why people will believe on judicial system? And the law itself says whenever you report the crime or say to adjudicating officer is mandated to deliver his judgment within 6 months. So IT secretaries are taking almost 5 to 6 years, and same is the case with appellate tribunal. So judiciary is genuinely in very pathetic situation. But as a fraternity member from judicial side, I should not be so harsh on this particular judiciary. If I believe on only statistics put up by NCRB, though only 5 or 10% crimes have been decided, the conviction rate is almost 85%. So in 85% cases, the criminals have been convicted by the court. So at least that is the silver lining on this entire pathetic situation of judicial system in cyber crimes. So I am not that much say positive in my framework regarding how my judicial system is going on. There is a lot of scope for improvisation, and unless we as a citizen build pressure on judicial system and on all different forums, it will not change. So it's our collective responsibility to build this sort of pressure on judiciary to come up with early judicial solutions.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the answer. And now I would like to welcome Albert, sir, Albert Tom. Thanks for joining, sir. Welcome to this session. So I would directly go to you with a question. So I think that would be better for you. As we all know that the entire government machinery is going through a massive digital transformation. Policing also a part of that. Policing is also going through a massive digital transformation. At the same time, the law enforcement agencies are fighting this malice which is cybercrime. So how do you think both of these things can go parallelly? Is it possible to go with that? Because there are multiple challenges which you face every day. So if you could please enlighten us with those things. What are the... So we can hear you, sir. Can't hear you.
I think he should unmute.
Sir, you unmute, sir. Sir, unmute, sir. Unmute, sir.
You need to unmute, Mr. Albert. You need to unmute your Google Meet.
Unmute your...
Yeah. You'll see there is an option, video and...
There's the option below, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, now
Am I
we can
audible
hear
now?
you. Yeah, sir. Audible.
Okay. Thank you for your question. I hope I'm audible now. Am I?
Yeah, absolutely, sir.
Okay. So you were asking me about the recent push towards digitization and governance and the cyber security problems that it poses. It is
Correct.
true that of late government has been pushing for digitization. There have been so much of initiatives where the government had actually pushed for digitization. So much of data has been entered digitally and is being stored in government servers. So much of this processes has gone into non-paper work. All these data, as the other eminent panelists have pointed out, all these data comes into the web space, and they are prone to threats and other security issues. That is true. I need not no deny that fact. But see, cyberspace is one place which is continuously evolving. We develop something, and then a technology comes the very next day which tries either to solve it or to crack the system. So it is always the police and the other law enforcement agencies had always been forefront to catch up with the latest technologies and trends so that we don't get outdated. We are not so much of prone to any of these attacks. And it is also heartening that when government systems were hacked, the police servers and the data which was connected with law enforcement agencies were more or less safe, and no large breach has been reported till now. Unlike most of the corporates where data breach has happened. So that is one good aspect of that. We have institutionalized the system to take care of the cybersecurity aspect of data that is regarding governance, especially policing. When it comes to policing, we see there are huge subsets of data which is generally related with policing. Since I belong to the police, I'll specifically speak with respect to the policing aspect of governance. We have crime data, we have data that is related to law and order issues, we have data that is related to traffic. Some of these data are protected under the Official Secrets Act. Some of these data are linked with other law enforcement agencies or other government agencies, as in traffic, because we have close to 100 smart cities which are being developed in the country. And most of the traffic data that is being collected by police is also being equally shared with the smart city projects in their integrated command and control systems. So this seamless transit of data is existing. Similarly, police is always on the track to digitize our crime records, which will include data on the victims, the scene of crime, the accused, the time and date, and all such data which are being digitized. Apart from that, police is also digitizing all that history sheets, old village history records, which are all seamless bounds of data which gives us important insights and all that historical information, and gives us a glimpse on the historic memory that has been recorded since the evolution of the police department. So these are all scores of data which can, if used productively and if proper analytic techniques are used, which can improve policing by bounds. So there is always that potential. There is no question if we should go back to that old era where all the data is being stored in paper form in police stations or at police headquarters. So it is always on the always the positive note that we go ahead towards digitizing, be it crime data, be it data that is regarding law and order, be it data that is regarding any other initiatives that is collected from the citizens. But meanwhile, as I've already told, there are scores of opportunities for cyber breach of security also. Cyber crimes are on the rise. Recently, a newspaper report has told that there was a 12 price, like NCRB data has come up with a statistic that there was 12% rise in cyber crimes during the COVID times. These are all true facts only. But there's a very important aspect that has to be learned. That is, to crack a government system or an institutionalized machinery which is properly guarded with technological firewalls and other technological security systems, it is not very easy. Only an organized crime system, or maybe a team which is into ethical or into hacking with the proper know-how on how to hack into systems and how to break the systems. Only such teams can get into an organized way of breaking the security systems of police. Local people, as in people who generally tend to attempt to cyber crimes, be it phishing attacks, be it identity theft, be it normal forgery crimes. These people does not have more of a technical know-how. All that they utilize is that the ignorance of people who are not appraised to the way cyber criminals operate, or who trust other people. No, we are, as Indians, we are very innocent people who trust each other. Some people who ask that, or there are persons who give a bait and then ask for information. All these are based on a very basic thing, which is ignorance about how things operate in cyberspace. And most of the victims in this case are people who are old or people who have closed their middle age, people who got access to a smartphone or to the cyberspace in their 30s or 40s, who do not know the nitty-gritties of how cyberspace operates or a network operates or a mobile phone operates, and does not know about the security concerns. So the major modus operandi of cyber criminals is these two. First thing is to take into advantage the apparent ignorance of people, and the second thing is their easy approachability due to easy network connection. So I would like to draw a line between these two. One thing is the highly organized cyber crimes which targets on government systems, which releases malwares, releases ransomwares, take into custody all that government data. And the second thing is the routine cyber crimes that we encounter each day. Maybe a phishing attack, ATM theft, or an OTP fraud, or personality identity theft, which constitutes more than 80% of all that cyber crimes. So, as far as policing is concerned, we to attend to that 80% of cyber crimes which occur frequently, is a low-hanging fruit, and it can be easily attended through creating proper awareness. And the second thing is a different thing. We require technical know-how, we require counterintelligence, we require ethical hackers who can counter that. And most of the police departments in most of the states have their own systems of dealing with these and providing security. So the high-end cyber security theft, which focuses on all that static data that is being stored in the government servers, is taken care of more or less. And as I've already noted, there have not been reports of any large-scale breach of all these data when it comes to government machinery, especially policing. The other part, which is the routine cyber crimes that we encounter each day, I know that, or I'm pretty sure that at least one member of each of the family of Indians had been a victim to cybercrime, either one way or the other. I know about senior police officers, district collectors, sub collectors, IS officers, IPS officers, who by virtue of or by the habit of their trust or innocence, no, fall prey to cyber criminals. So the best thing to create or to prevent such crimes or to create an awareness among people, because only by creating awareness and by creating or letting them know, or by passing information regarding the recent trends by which by which people are targeted, by that we can avoid this cyber crimes to a large extent. So I hope your question is answered. That is the digitization push in government, how we address the cyber security part. That I've addressed because that constitutes say 20% of all the cyber crimes that happen, and that is addressed through counterintelligence and ethical hacking and dedicated teams to protect and basic infrastructure to protect our data. The second thing is regarding general cyber crimes which happen day in and day out. That can be prevented only by awareness, and by creating simple awareness, it can be prevented too. Say banks are in the forefront in creating awareness. You receive an SMS each day, or maybe in 2 days, saying that you must not share your OTP to anybody. These things happen every day, day in and day out. The police provide awareness to people through various medias. We create awareness camps, and so. But awareness is the only way, and that too targeted awareness. There is no point in making people, young guys, aware, because they are already aware. They know that okay, they must not share their OTP to anybody, or they are more or less aware of that small pocket money which they get and how to save that. Only people whom we are afraid of is that people who are aged above 35 or maybe 40. That the older generation people who got access to all this network and this devices in the second half of their life, and who are not properly appraised of the nitty-gritties of web space. And we do that through our proper awareness.
Sir, I have another question, sir. As we all know that there are multiple kinds of cyber attacks which are happening at this moment. As we know that, do you think the habitual offenders who are mostly cyber criminals, they also can be corrected through rehabilitation programs or through counseling? Because they often get dependent on this kind of crimes to earn easy money, because we know it has developed a kind of economy for different countries like Nigeria. We have seen it has developed an economy for them because it's easy money. Through ransomware attacks, they can get fetch a good amount of money very easy way to fetch or something like that. So do you think counseling could be a possible way to get them out of this trap? Is it a feasible thing?
Okay, I'll summarize that. You are asking about what is the possibility of rehabilitation of a cyber criminal. To prevent recidivism and prevent him from further attending to this issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm back.
Yes, sir. Please.
To that question, I'll say that is a very far-fetched idea, because first thing is there is a basic difficulty in securing the cyber criminals and ensuring that they are properly punished. Because say in most of the crimes that happen in Tamil Nadu, maybe be it deep south in Kanyakumari or be it in the northern parts of Tamil Nadu, maybe Chennai. Even in those places, the accused are mostly traced to North India. And in most cases, it will be very crimes which are of very small value. Say 10,000 rupees was shifted from this place to that place, or all that money that was there in an account was close to 50,000 or 60,000. So it is extremely difficult for a police force to send police people to other state for every crime. So there is basic difficulty in securing these people and securing cyber crimes, which is a systematic issue, and that systemic issue is faced by all. So I feel that if we have a pan-India setup by which information is shared and cyber criminals are secured, and there is a pan-India team where there is seamless transformation of information and seamless transformation of arrest of people. In such a case, we can ensure that there is prompt prevention and prompt action in such cases, and that is a food for thought too, because that is the way we are going to advance in cybercrime. Because earlier there was no cybercrime reporting portal. Now we have at least a cybercrime reporting portal where cyber people can report it online, cybercrimes, and complaints are transferred to concerned police stations. The next step is creating an all India institutional framework by which there is transmission of data, and you give data, and the local police helps them to pick people from wherever they are. So that is the first step towards the rehabilitation. That is, we need to get those people in our hand. And the second thing is regarding rehabilitation. Because these people are not involved in very violent crimes, generally the law enforcement agency will take a fairer view towards them, since their crimes are not violent, but even though they are very serious. So they'll generally get bail, seeking as in by virtue of their non-violent nature, or mostly because of their young age or because of their future prospects, they'll generally get bail also. It is a very extreme, as somebody has pointed out, it is an extreme rarity that somebody gets convicted in a cyber crime, and they spend a part of their life in imprisonment or put up a hefty fine or so. So there is this institutional hurdle before we think about rehabilitation of people. And rehabilitation as such is a disputed thing, as in there are disputed arguments and disputed studies on how well the system has been able to rehabilitate and reform old criminals. So keeping that part there, I'll say rehabilitation of cyber criminals is a far-fetched idea, which may take so much of time to come, because there are so much of push factors which allow people to commit a cybercrime, to commit a house break, or to commit a robbery. It requires even more hurdles, more mental makeup, and so. But to make a cybercrime, one does not need so much. Only thing one need is an intention to create a crime and a certain opportunity to do that. So it is easy committable crime, and by virtue of which rehabilitation is difficult.
Correct. Sir, I have my last question to you. I would like to pose my last question. That is, there is a digital literacy gap amongst the police force also, because people often they need training, to deal with this kind of crimes. So, do you think how much time do we need, to create a fully equipped force that will be able to deal with this kind of modern crime trends which are there at this moment?
That was a good question. In fact, as a law enforcement agency, police always aims that we always stay ahead of the criminals and the technology that comes up. So most of the state police departments have their own systems of track to track the advanced systems of technology, how things are moving, to what dimension things are moving, and all. And there are of course high-end teams in all police departments to track these high-end developments and get apprised of that and get trained in that. But to the real question of how good, as in how much time will the local police, as in the policemen of all ranks and all files, get to know about cyber awareness, that will come only with a societal change, because policemen are generally not recruited based on their know-how in technical things. They are generally recruited based on their basic understanding, their aptitude to policing, and their physical framework. So to include, of course, the government and the department is under consideration to include a basic technical element during the recruitment. That will in fact make a long way in ensuring that people are basically cyber aware when they come to police, and that they can meet the expectations and the challenges that come up. So it has to start from the recruitment process as well. That is people who are appraised of basic computer systems. If they can be recruited, we can with aptitude on as a networking or technical things, we can develop a police force uh, which can keep up with the changes that are occurring in the cyberspace and be appraised of the latest developments and be properly cyber aware of all the crimes, of all the challenges that happens, and how to do a proper cyber investigation.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for
Sir,
the
till
answers.
till sir is in call, I would like to make small suggestion or observation. What
Sure,
happens?
sure.
There are dedicated cyber cells in most of the cities in India. But when it comes to transfer, the officer trained in cyber cell is transferred to normal policing job, and he forgets or he is not able to dedicate his knowledge when he gathered in that cybercrime investigation. So my small observation is that if cyber cell staff is transferred to another cyber cell from say one district to another, it will be helpful for public as well as police department, because every time new officers comes for cybercrime investigation, again he has to start from scratch. So the people or officers who are already trained in cybercrime, they should be transferred to cyber cells only. That is my small suggestion, which can be considered by the honorable officer who is in the call and can put this particular suggestion. That is small observation.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
sir.
for that
Thanks for the
observation.
suggestion.
That is a very valid suggestion also. In fact, we have this thing has been accounted to, and as far as and to create a whole hierarchy of cybercrime by which the transfer takes place in that vertical line only. We are recruiting based on we are making special recruitments into our cyber police stations, as well as ensuring lateral entry into cyber police station units through screening tests. So that will ensure that people who are basically aware of things and who have a bent of mind towards such things come inside, and that they don't go back into routine law and order, and they uh, keep updated in this system of cybercrime and their cybercrime systems and get updated. That is a very good observation, and it has been already accounted to. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I would like to come to KARN again on this particular point. How important do you think that in today's world, when this kind of challenges we are facing, that the tech companies and the law and order agencies should work hand in hand? What is the importance of that? Do you think that is important today?
You're asking me?
Yeah, KARN, I'm asking you. If you could please,
Okay, okay.
what is the importance
So,
of this collaboration?
so
Do you think it is important?
yeah, so I was listening to
Deal.
Mr. Albert, and uh, yeah, can you hear me? Is that all
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, okay. So, like, when I was listening to him, and what I have understood about like the problems that he is facing around and the whole department is facing, if we can try in a way like, see, we are a whole ecosystem that is providing the data everywhere, and every single time the law enforcement, or you can say like the law people, those people who are regulating the whole ecosystem in terms of legal, if there is a companies like the way we are working on it, if we're gonna combine together in terms of like how we can protect people, if someone is like, for example, if someone is using our communication, the government is like they are not the right people and we have to provide the information, then we are ready to do that. Because if we're gonna do those things, we might gonna protect the people, those who might gonna get affected, you know what I'm saying? So for that point of aspect, I would say like it's really important for all the tech companies that they understand problems that can be occur if there is something happens like if someone is using your platform or if someone is using your services, and that might gonna be affected by loads of people. So all the founders, or maybe you can say like the startup people, they have to combine with the all the legal system as well, because combining with legal system is not saying that you have to disclose the data. So I'm trying to say, as far as I have understood till now, what I'm saying. So if they are saying like there is a certain kind of people, those who are not doing the right thing, and they need to be get their data out, then we are ready to work with this. So I'm trying to say, I don't have any problem, or even our company is always ready to help in this. So because as we know, every people around the globe, they might gonna have problem, and the slowly we're gonna grow fast. I mean, together is gonna help not even the country, but protect the people's life. Because as you said, if someone is doing some kind of, because why this data is, what I'm saying, why this bothering all, I mean, every kind of people, not just see right now, we have people from police, we have people from administration, and they all in the same kind of problem. What I can understand, just I'm trying facing that kind of, they just, I mean, see things, they see the services, but they don't see the product side. They're not gonna let, what I'm trying to say, and where we comes in there. So if we are offering that kind of product line, that means like it's gonna be easier for them as well to solve those problems ASAP. But if we not gonna combine together, then might get problem what they are facing right now. I mean, Mr. Albert, if you are there, then I can. I would love to listen to you what you're saying according to my own opinion. Your understanding of, if you're there, then.
Hi, yeah, I'm around. Can I get the question again? Sorry.
Oh yeah, yes.
The-
The way we have to, as you said, like how we can combine with the law enforcement and the police department and all, that can help people to solve these problems that you guys are facing in. Because like you have to improvise every single time with your old people, and you have to improvise with all these, laws every single time, because there is no product line that can directly come to you and tell you, like, okay, if you have this problem, and we have the someone is trying to use that thing, so we have the information and we're going to provide you, and you can solve that problem. So on that point of time, you need certain kind of companies that can help directly, because right now if you go to ask someone, and as you said, you need lots of ethical hackers and all these people. Why? Because your company that they are not available in your own country or in our country. You know what I'm saying? But if we are there already, then you don't need to have that kind of people, those who are gonna come along with you and they're gonna work together with you. You know what I'm saying? So my concern is like, if we are together, I mean, side by side, it would be much easier for the government as well, and for the people, those who are facing problems, we can protect that, because we are not providing services, we are providing the product. Just like, I mean, the country you might have already seen, like how they are offering the product line and how people are using that, because we are dependent on someone else, what I'm trying to say. Because if we are not dependent on someone else, then we don't have to go there and every single time ask about those details that might gonna protect not me, not you, someone else's life. What I'm trying to say. Because as you said, there is a 50,000, 20,000, 30,000 people are getting robbed. What I'm saying? Every single time, why they are getting robbed? Because someone is disclosing someone's details. Am I right? What I'm trying. And those things are already available in the public. That's why they are easily available, and someone can give you a call and say like, hello, I'm calling from this place and I need your details, and okay, done. What I'm saying? But that can be protected if we can provide that kind of solution that is highly, that concerned about data privacy always, and that can be really easy for every single people around the globe, not just a law enforcement, not just a legal system, for every single users. So, I mean, I would love to hear your suggestion. What you're saying about my concern, what I have trying to solve it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And that is a welcome point of view, as in, if we have a product line which takes care of our issues and which can sort out our issues when it, as and when it comes, that is a welcome suggestion only. In this issue, actually, we are dealing in two different ways. First thing is, we have so much of interaction with industry, which helps us, who helps us in dealing with many of these issues. As in there are many, when a major cybercrime case comes, or when there is so much of analytics of data which comes, we generally outsource that data to a third party company who can analyze it and give for you, where in such cases where we do not have the know-how to solve and sort that issue. That is one way. Second thing, there are so much of products that we use from industry, which are based on routine interactions, and the industry helps us with their products, with their services, with their technology and all. And that is the second part. And the third thing is, but to ensure that there is a continuous contract between the law enforcement agency and a product supplier. That is a slightly gray area, as in when that happens, because law and by virtue of the nature of law enforcement agency, which stores so much of data regarding citizens and which has so much of data in their hand, and a contract with a permanent contract with a company may lead to certain privacy issues. First thing, and the second thing, the issue of a cyber theft can always come, which can ultimately lead into accountability issues, as in who was accountable for that. Was it the developer, or was it the law enforcement agency? So those technical issues and legal issues always crop up, and as a result of which we always aim to create a database or a infrastructural system of our own, with servers hosted in with data that are hosted in our servers, with technology that is our own, and with the manpower that is completely manned by us. I know it is a very far call, but that is perhaps the ideal by which on which we are moving. Of course, to fill those gaps, we require cooperation and relationship from the industry and the products that they launch and all. But my personal opinion is the technology and the servers and the network and the infrastructure, which stores this huge amount of data that is with the law enforcement agency, which can help anybody to profile a person based on his sociological perspective, based on his criminal antecedents, based on his nature, based on his physique. All these data which can help to profile a person is available with the law enforcement agency. So when such data comes out, it always leads to an issue of privacy and security. So that is why we are always not very eager, less in a law, being a law enforcement agency, we are not very eager to participate with an industry all out, and why we focus on governmental systems.
If you see like what we are really doing here, I mean, as you said, like there is a lots of privacy issue can be rises if you guys gonna be interrupting. What happens is like what we trying to deal with here is like if you are a normal guy, if you are a right person, and you're talking to your family or your friends or someone else, because what we are trying is not just something that's gonna protect you, it's something that you're gonna be searched for. Because right now you're searching from somewhere else, and that is you already know where you're searching from. You know what I'm saying? If you are talking to someone, then you have someone somewhere else sitting there, and they are controlling everything. You might already know that, yeah. So the kind of ecosystem we created is for people, those who understand about like if you are the right person. So for example, I might have to talk to my family. Then I don't have to tell you like, okay, well, I'm talking to my family. And when you are trying to get those kind of details, then that's what I'm trying to say. On that point of time, I'm going to be interrupting in your concern as well. Because as a founder, I'm concerned about people's privacy, but I'm also concerned about if someone is trying to, make their life worse in terms of like if there is a bad people, for example, I'm trying to say, yeah, if there is a bad people and you have the requirement of that details, then I'm going to have to provide you, because it's not about something that, providing those details, it's not about something that we have to think about the privacy of that bad people. Because if we're going to start thinking about the bad people privacy, that means like we are affecting 10 people as well. You know what I'm saying? So our perspective is quite different if as a company, if I talk about. And that's why we talk about like if we be, self-made company who just taking care of our own people's data as well, because we are running around the globe right now technically, and we are the first company that have launched their own search engine. But in search engine, as you see already, always like every single time there is a leakage. There is someone is trying to give you a wrong information that might gonna manipulate your mindset. You know what I'm saying? On that point of time, this is also the responsibility of the companies that they can take care of it. And till now, I haven't seen any company that is taken care of in India. So for me, that is the bigger concern. That's what I'm trying to say, and that's why we came up with this. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That is actually a good perspective. And I feel it's a good step that people are thinking
100%.
about the data that is being leaked from search engines and how we can protect them. As in, I myself have migrated towards more safer engines, say a Brave or DuckDuckGo and all. And that is a very
Uh-huh.
welcome thing. Also, perhaps people know when they get more aware of all the things that comes up. People will definitely go into these things, and of course, the product line that you are offering will definitely help law enforcement agencies in ensuring that security. Yeah, as you've told, that is a different way of taking it. You know, when a product comes to save all the data of people which are with law enforcement agencies. That is a welcome idea also. We will consider that and hope
Yeah,
there
yeah, sure.
happens more cooperation.
100%. Yeah. Hmm.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
really
you. Thank you, Karan. Thank you, Albert sir. Thanks for this discussion, wonderful discussion. So I would like to call now Mr. Tushar Bhagat, the founder of SafeCom Internet and E-commerce Safety Foundation. Sir, please, thanks for waiting for so long, and
No
I
problem.
hope you enjoyed the entire discussion. So
Yes, yes, yes.
you
I
have
was
been a
actually
patient listener. So please start with your
good.
insights.
So let me first try to introduce myself so you guys know like where exactly or what's my exact background. So we have been a part of, or I have been a part of Responsible Netism. Responsible Netism is an organization which takes care of cyber safety for the kids and women, and we are doing this since last 8 years. And we are trying to inculcate the cyber safety in the kids because it has to be part of your curriculum as well as part of your daily routine, right? So it should not happen that one fine day you will be taught something and you have to take care of it, right? So it has to be a part of this thing. When you get that kind of vision that what can go wrong at what place when it comes to a cyber safety on the internet, you will be more looking into how you can safeguard at any given instance where you when you are browsing on a net, right? So this way you will be protected. So that's our core agenda till now. Safecom we have formed this year only, looking at what exactly happened during the pandemic. So during pandemic we got a lot of calls from people saying that were at home and they were trying to buy things online, they were trying to do the transaction online, paying bills and whatever, and they get scammed a lot. So 2019, 20, 2021 were a lot of scams which are not related to what we were talking about, like data breach and all. These are like a small groups who are planning attack on by hosting some kind of website for e-commerce, some kind of website for PM's fund where you can go and register and they claim that you will get a monthly money till the lockdown is going on, and these kind of fraud. So they came up with their own ideas and they started to launch these websites. So that's where we actually thought like, okay, we need to create something in for people who will act or it will act as a holding hand for them when they are doing the transaction on the internet. So that's where when we came to e-commerce foundation. It's a Netherlands-based organization. They have a tool called Scam Advisor. Plus, we came up across 2, 3 different tools which are available on the internet. So we tried to look into what exactly they are doing. Can we actually incorporate something like this in India? And but when it comes to Indian people, like, okay, so there is a lot of difference than the way they operate on the internet than what people in UK or US do. So looking at our current population, there are 56% people are only on a mobile phone, right? They have an internet connection, but they do all the transaction on a mobile phone. They haven't seen internet or they haven't seen the Facebook on their desktop. So they don't know like the Facebook has a desktop thing. So they always seen a Facebook on a mobile phone. So then this comes a different ball game altogether where should we launch a portal which will safeguard them, or should we look for something else? Should we come up with the app or some program which will go on their mobile and help them out? But then we thought instead of doing all these things, let's create a bot. So yesterday only we launched a bot with the help by Honorable IT Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. Satej Patil. and the bot has a number called 9152019152. What we do over here, so whenever you are doing some kind of transaction online, you have to just send a number, just send a site where you are going to do the online transaction on our bot, and our bot will do the search, and it will also check some of our databases which we have collected from local law enforcement agencies, and it will also check the database from Scam Advisor and other two agencies, and they will try to come up with the score. So Scam Advisors gives us the score from 1 to 100. Plus we come up with our star rating, which gives them like, okay, if you can do the transaction on the internet. Okay, so this way we are trying to give them a tool which will help them before anything goes wrong with them, before that cyber crime happens, right? So yesterday we blocked one website which has a Bajaj FinServe. So after looking at so many transactions on that particular website, so bajajfinserve.co.in with double N in between. Okay, so these kind of website, people are going there and applying loan for them, paying the amount over there. So this is not even an e-commerce website. So this is just a normal website where it shows like they are from Bajaj and they are giving you a loan at very low interest rate. So these kind of frauds are also there. So that's where we actually came. So we don't come from that data breach background and all this thing, but we are into making tools which will help people just before something goes wrong with them. Said that, definitely I heard we were doing a lot of research into this thing, and what Albert John said, like there is no data breach. So we have people on our board which work into this area, but what we have found out is data breach is happening in Indian companies, like even a private company, but they are not reporting to it because it's not possible, it's not mandatory for companies to report a data breach to the government, at least of now. So most of these companies are not even going to government. So, and this data is actually used by these scamsters. I'll give you an example which is recently happened in my family. The government always says, or bank always sends you a message saying that don't share a OTP with anyone, right? But in this case, what happened is that person, one of my family member, got his debit card, and very next day he got a call from this thing, one scamster, saying that, okay, you got a debit card, now we have to reactivate it. And that entire conversation was so flawless that he thought that this is the bank and they gave us a debit card and we now have to activate it. Okay, so this data breach is at next level. So I don't know where exactly it happened.
Mr. Tushar, I just want to stop you for a second. As you
Uh-huh.
said seconds ago, like, you guys are developing a bot that can help people to, rectify, like, if the information is right or not. But
Uh-huh.
I felt,
Yes,
and as you said, like your family members, so you gave the example, right? About
right.
those both scenario, what I felt is like, search
Sorry, come
something
again.
that is, if we search something and if information from somewhere, I'm not talking about any search engine that you are using right now, but any search engine that is providing the information, or any place where you buying the product. You know what I'm trying to say? Any third party product line where you buying the product, these
Mm-hmm.
are the main reason behind you facing that problem. You don't think so? Because that's the root
Mm-hmm.
cause where you are every single time you giving up your credit card details, and every single time you searching something, like as you said, Bajaj FinServe. You know what I'm trying to say? And as you said, like that website was not correct that much, but still people were paying there. So that's the responsibility of a company, that they are providing the product and they are not checking properly before making that site live on the search engine. You know what I'm trying to say? So first of all, I think according to myself, is like we have to understand the core reason behind why this happening.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
See,
Cyber crimes
yeah,
and all these
definitely. I
aspects. You
agree.
know.
Agree with you saying that we need to find the reason behind it. But even though if we find a reason and we try to stop that way of these guys are working to do the scam or scam the people, uh, they are going to find a new reason every time, right? So they
Okay,
they will
tell me
come up.
one thing. Okay, tell me one thing. Well, I mean, I just don't want to. This conference is not about talking about my product. You know, so I'm trying to say this is, but the way you saying about and putting those problems, you know, what I can
Hmm.
see right now technically is about like whatever the gap is between search, browse, like buying products and
Hmm.
like communicating with the people. These all are the major issue that people are getting these kind of problems always. You know, so I'm trying to say where I'm coming from. Because if there is a kind of alternative that is taken care of from the beginning, so for example, what we do in our search engine is like every single time when someone is submit a website that on our search engine, then we check by ourselves, like, is this real? Is this
Hmm.
correct? And if it's not real, then we not let you be there on our
Right.
search engine. With that way,
That's
the
that's the.
information that we are providing is 100% accurate. And once the information is accurate, then you know that the Bajaj FinServ and the fake FinServ, there is a difference,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Similarly, if you are using my one kind of facility, every single time when you're going to use your credit card or debit card or maybe bank account, every 5 seconds, your account details going to be self-destructed. So we are not taking those details. If we're not going to take
Okay.
those details, if we're not going to put on our folder or maybe on a server, as I said, in a normal ways,
Hmm.
get out from there. You know, so I'm trying to say,
Okay.
because I'm just talking in a layman way. And the way the problems are coming up from all the panelists I've seen, that is something that we already worked on it. We just, people
Okay.
don't even know about us because we are not
Mhm.
popular there enough. That's the whole
I see.
scenario, I feel like, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, okay, okay. But that's great thing. If you can actually check these URLs and make sure that they are legitimate, because that's the one of the problem we faced with the Google last when we
I
were
mean,
doing the research. We were searching for one of the bicycle. Somebody reported saying that they wanted to buy a bicycle and they got scammed. And we checked the Google result, and first three ads were from scamsters and those sites this thing. So that's very good of you if you guys are checking this thing and
I'm not
somehow we
quoting
can.
anyone. I'm not quoting
No, no,
anyone.
no. I'm saying like this.
The
This is good.
reality.
So this has to be there, right? This has to be there because this
Yeah.
is the process we need to. We can't just let people aware about this thing and then think that they will think about the exact same scenario and they will be in the exact frame of mind to stop themselves from being scammed. Right? People are always in a different frame of mind. Even I can get scammed at one place, being into this entire cyber safety this thing, because you never know what I'm doing at what time. So coming back to this thing, but some of these sites, scams which we have seen are happening from the Instagram and Facebook. Okay, you see some great product on a Facebook, you check that thing and you click on that product, you feel like buying it and you get scammed, right? And actual scam happen when you call back saying that I haven't received the product. So that's a second level of scams going on. So that's where we came in. We tried to create this bot with all this information put together. Plus now we are trying to get the mobile numbers as well on our bot, so you can actually check the mobile number if it's registered in any of the directory within Maharashtra, in any of the police department, to check if there is a complaint against that number. So we are working on that kind of bot as well. So if everything goes well, I think we'll be able to secure some of this thing. This entire thing started when we saw a statistic saying that in 2019 there was a survey from Norton, and which says around 13.12 crore Indians get scammed in 2019. Government data says otherwise, like Dr. Mahendra Limay said, like this is a totally different data, but this was a Norton LifeLock survey, and there are around 1.2 lakh crore rupees lost in cyber frauds, right? So we have to being in this area, we have to work together, we have to join hands and make sure that this won't happen again, because every day there are new people coming on the internet. There are 70 crore people in India using some way or another banking mobile apps or credit cards or debit card. This is increasing by 11% every year, and we have to be alert, we have to be vigilant, and we have to come up being into this industry, we can't just uh, teach people, or we can't just create an awareness or run an awareness campaign. We have to come up with the tools which will safeguard them when they are doing this transaction unknowingly, right? So that's my take, and it was great listening to you guys. I think
Thank you, thank you.
I got
I
some.
have a small question.
Yeah,
I have a small question for
yeah,
you, sir. That you spoke about awareness. Awareness is a very critical issue out there.
right.
So if we talk about the technological rescues which we are planning at this moment to deal with this crime or the cyber crime specifically, that is very much restricted within the urban population till date. There is
True,
a huge gap, the digital literacy gap between the urban and the rural population in India.
true.
So how do you think your organization or your initiatives or even the government can really bridge this gap? Is it possible to bridge this gap within the coming years?
It's bit difficult. So it's not that easy, because looking at the way people use in urban India, the way people use the mobile for, or use the mobile apps is different. If you even go to tier 2, tier 3 cities, the way they use is different. So there is a lot of gap into this thing. So when we even do the training courses or modules for people in Mumbai are different, and people somewhere into Nasik or even in the Goa, it's way too different. So I don't know government. I generally not from this thing that government should do everything. Like, okay, government should come up with this thing. What in my hands, that we'll try to do. So currently our the portal and the bot which we have launched is into English, but soon down the line, 6 months, that will come into regional languages, so that people understand in their own language like what kind of cyber crimes are going on, and they should keep on getting the information on a personalized level about this transaction, and we have to keep educating them, and said that there again these bots are going to be helpful for them before doing any of the transaction, right from downloading an app or to calling a number, or if they are getting some phone from some number, it bot should say like, okay, don't give OTP to this number because this is registered at some police station, something like that. So we want to be at the preventive level at that, and definitely in the regional languages. So,
Correct. And then there is another thing which came up very prominently in the last few years. There is another vulnerable class of the segment of the society is the children, the elderly, and the women. So
exactly.
what do you think? How we can really uh, protect them from this kind of threats which are there?
Right. Right. So when it comes to children, I'm glad that you asked this question. There, we do sessions every day. We have around 4 to 5 sessions in Maharashtra and Goa for different age group of children, and we talk to them. And there are a lot of things which are going on which we are not aware, right? So a couple of days ago, we talked to one of the kid who was doing a lot of playing a lot of games on the internet, and he got scammed for around 11 lakhs. Of, Unfortunately, their mom and dad were from good background. They are doctors, so they could be able to pull him out of this thing. So, and the thing is, like these people, he met were into gambling. Were also looking for kids who were playing games. They tried to contact them first. They played the games with them, and then slowly they moved them from into gambling and all these things. So this is the one segment. Second segment comes where is the content related to CSAM, where one girl from one school admitted a couple of days ago that she was sending news to some of her friend, and she thought she just another girlfriend of hers, and then she figured out like, oh, this is not a girl, this is a boy or something. So fortunately, after our session, she talked to us and the teachers, and we able to resolve that matter, because we have access to the Facebook and Instagram right now, so we can talk to them and close this account and delete the content over there. So that's another segment of it. So kids come from a different age group. They have at different ages they have a different problems. Some kids are getting sexually or this thing offended. Some kids are getting pulled into doing some wrong things on the internet. So we have to deal with all those things, but the best part is we are talking to them. We are putting a counseling session. Soon there will be a helpline especially for kids, so that they can talk, because they can't talk to parents because they feel if they talk to parents, their internet connection or mobile phone is gone, like they are not getting it back. So the helpline will actually help kids for this thing. So we are actually pushing with the government of Maharashtra that we should soon launch this helpline, and that will solve the problem. So it's different ball game altogether when we deal with kids and when we deal with adults and the elderly people. Right.
You spoke about the counseling part.
Right.
So, do you think still this criminal activity or the people who are the victim of this kind of crimes, they're not taken seriously by the community, or even their parents don't take them seriously? If the kid is complaining to them about something like that, or even they have been traumatized because of this, by facing this kind of criminal activities, being a victim of this kind of criminal activities, they're not taken often seriously.
Often
I think this is a problem.
they are taking, so we have seen the two ways, like, so some parents are aware about this kind of thing, so they generally talk to their kids, they come to us, but they are into mode where they want to take a revenge on what who has done this thing, instead of actually talking to their kids and making them understand that this is going to happen when you share some content on the internet, unknowingly, knowingly, or whatever the thing. But this is not something they should be afraid of, right? Some parents come to us saying that, okay, find that prepare who has done this thing, I know some of his friend did this, go to him and arrest him and do all these things. So they come into that mindset. There are some parents who actually try to keep, or even the schools, which I'm really afraid of, school don't want to take these cases to the police department. Okay, if something goes wrong with them, of course some cases are not that big, but some cases are this thing. But as per the government law, like if something related to child sexual abuse, you, if you know, you have to report it. That's the best thing they have done. And but we have seen that trend as well. If something goes wrong on a Facebook or Instagram within the school don't want that to go out in the public, because that's gives a stake on their reputation. So they go to the parent and they say like, okay, this won't happen and we'll change this thing or that thing, and they just try to uh, put down that particular matter. But in our case, definitely we have to counsel these people, especially kids, that this is not something really bad with them, happened bad with them. This is one of the incidents. This might keep on doing. What you need to do, you have to safeguard yourself whenever you are on the internet, and that's what we have to teach them. Whenever there is a content we uploaded on the internet, we intervene them and we try to remove that content immediately with whatever the sites or wherever that content is uploaded. Right. Hope that answers your
Thank,
question. Right.
yeah, thank you. So I think this we can round up the entire thing. So anybody, if anybody has any question to our speakers, they can ask the questions. Any of the attendees do have any questions? I don't think anybody is there. So if anybody's have a question left, we have discussed enough on this particular topic. So I think that's all from our side. Thanks everybody. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining this wonderful session. I hope we will join again. We will discuss on this issue further, maybe in the future. Thanks everybody.
Okay.
So,
This will be uploaded.
Thank,
We'll get
thanks
a
for
report.
yes,
such nice. Thanks for such
thank
nice
you, sir.
conduction. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for
Great.
joining.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you, Khan.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Shastaki. Everybody. Thank you. Good night. Have a nice
Nice.
time ahead.
Good
Thank
night.
you, sir.
Good night. Bye bye.
Good night. Good night.